Hello friends, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to talk about the book 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari. Have you ever wondered, the world you see today will be completely transformed in the next 20 years? I guarantee that after listening to this audiobook, you will not see the world, your future, or yourself in the same way you did before. This is not just an ordinary book summary, it's a telescope into the future, a mirror that will show you truths that might scare you, but that you need to know to be prepared for tomorrow. Are you also confused about the future? Are you afraid that technology might take your job? Do you feel that in this noisy world it has become difficult to distinguish truth from lies? Are you searching for the true meaning of your life? If these questions are also on your mind, then this audiobook is for you. It's for those who don't want to just follow the herd, but who want to understand the challenges knocking on the door of humanity. This audiobook will give you the lens to see through the fog of the future, the tools to face the storms ahead, and the direction to give your life a new meaning. If you're not ready to face the harsh truths shaking the foundations of our society, then maybe this audiobook isn't for you. But if you're one of those few who want to open their eyes and welcome the future, who want to use their full potential, then get ready for a journey that will shake the strings of your mind. Because today, we won't just discuss a book, we'll try to understand the reality of our coming tomorrow. Chapter 1. Disillusionment, when the old stories fall apart. So friends, let us begin this journey by asking a very deep and essential question. What are the stories you believe in? No, I am not talking about fairy tales. I am talking about the major stories that have shaped our entire world. Democracy, nationalism, liberalism, religion, money. What are all these if not stories? Stories that we collectively believed in, and that gave us the power to work together? The 20th century was essentially a struggle between three major stories: fascism, communism, and liberalism. And as we all know, liberalism won that struggle. We thought we had reached the end of history, that the whole world would gradually adopt democracy and free markets, and everything would be fine. But did that really happen? Look around you. Do you think everything is fine? The 2008 financial crisis, Brexit, the election of Donald Trump, and the rising tide of nationalism and polarization around the world, all of these events signal that the story we trusted most is now falling apart. The liberal narrative is no longer able to answer the greatest challenges of the 21st century, such as climate change and technological disruption. Think about it. Liberalism teaches us to respect individual freedom and human rights, which is great. But when floods, droughts, and storms do not recognize national borders, then thinking only about one's own country is not enough. When global warming is a threat to the entire planet, how can any single nation face it alone? Similarly, consider technology like artificial intelligence and biotechnology are not under the control of any single country. When a company or a nation can create robots that outperform humans, or make genetic changes that alter humanity itself, the impact is global. Our old story, our liberal system, is not providing solid solutions to these worldwide problems. We are at a point where our old maps no longer work, and we have no clear idea of our new destination. This is a very uncomfortable and frightening situation. This is what the author, Yuval Noah Harari, calls disillusionment. We are becoming disillusioned with all the stories that once guided us. When old stories fall apart, a void is created. People become confused. They don't know what to believe in anymore, and often more dangerous old stories return to fill that void. Stories of nationalism, of us versus them, stories of religious extremism. These stories might give us a false sense of security, but they lead us even further away from the real global problems we need to face together. We are living in a world where everyone is trapped in their own small bubble, believing their own story is the truth and seeing others' stories as false. We are fighting among ourselves while the real enemies, like climate change and technological unemployment, are right at our door. The author warns us that if we do not soon create a new global, trustworthy story, one that can unite all of humanity, our future could be very dark indeed. This is not a small matter. It is about the very survival of our civilization. Think about it. When you realize that the path you have been walking on for years was actually the wrong one, it feels like the ground has shifted under your feet. This is what is happening to all of humanity today. We have lost the old faith that once held us together. We now urgently need new ideas, new stories. But where will these new stories come from? Who will write them? Perhaps the answer won't be found in a single leader or a single book. Perhaps it's something we all have to discover together. But before we begin that search, we need to understand the most crucial transformation knocking at our door, one that will not just change our stories, but will forever alter the way we work, live, and even what it means to be human. And that transformation is technology. But what happens when machines start doing our jobs better than we do? What happens when there's no longer a need for humans? These are the questions that lead us into our next chapter. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Work. When machines take over your job. Imagine a world where you no longer need to go to work. No boss, no deadlines, no rush to wake up in the morning. Sounds wonderful, doesn't it? But now look at the other side of the coin. Imagine a world where there is no work available for you at all. You want to work, but no one is willing to hire you because a machine or a computer program can do your job better, cheaper, and 24/7. This is not a scene from a science fiction movie. It's a reality we're getting very close to. In the previous chapter, we talked about how our old stories are falling apart. But the biggest storm ahead is not political, it's technological. And that storm is called artificial intelligence, or AI. We've all heard that automation and robots are replacing factory workers, but most of us think this won't affect us personally. We think, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm an artist. How can a machine replace me? And that's our biggest misconception. The author, Yuval Noah Harari, explains very clearly that this technological revolution is completely different from previous industrial revolutions. In the past, when new technology arrived, some jobs disappeared, but many new jobs were created. For example, when automobiles replaced horse-drawn carriages, coachmen lost their jobs, but millions of new jobs appeared for drivers, mechanics, and factory workers. This time it won't be like that. Why? Because in previous revolutions, machines competed with human physical strength. This time, machines, AI, are competing with human intelligence, with our ability to think and understand. And this is an area we always believed was uniquely human. AI doesn't just process data, it learns, recognizes patterns, and makes decisions. In many cases, it can do this better than humans. A doctor might need years of experience to detect cancer from thousands of X-rays, but an AI can analyze millions of X-rays in hours and be more accurate. A lawyer might take weeks to review thousands of pages of documents. I can do it in minutes. You might think your job is safe because you're a creative professional. You create music, write, or paint. But is that really the case? Today, there are AI programs that can create beautiful music, write news articles, and even produce stunning artwork tailored to your taste. The point is not whether AI can create art as good as a human. The point is that it can create art that's good enough and do it much faster and cheaper. When a client needs a logo for their website, why would they pay a designer thousands when they can get it from an AI for a fraction of the cost? It's not just about losing jobs. Harari points to an even scarier possibility: the rise of a useless class. That term sounds harsh, but it doesn't mean these people have no value. It means that from an economic standpoint, the system no longer has any need for them. For the first time in human history, the main fear of the poor was always exploitation. In the future, the main fear might be irrelevance, that no one needs you at all. When millions of people have no work, What will they do? What will society do with them? Governments might keep them alive with something like a universal basic income, but life is not just about food, clothing, and shelter. A huge part of our identity, purpose, and self-respect comes from our work. When that disappears, how will people spend their days? So, as we dive into this scenario, it's not just an economic challenge, it's a psychological and philosophical one. Losing jobs isn't just about losing income, it's a crisis of identity. When we no longer have work, where do we find our sense of purpose? How do we feel connected and valued? Will we build new communities online, or will we become lonelier than ever? And that leads us into the next chapter, where we try to solve this puzzle of loneliness and community in a changing world. Chapter 3, Community. Is Facebook bringing us together or pulling us apart? So our jobs are at risk, and our sense of identity is deepening into a crisis. In such a situation, where does a human being turn? They turn to their community, to their people. A community is that place where we feel a sense of belonging, where we know we're not alone. For thousands of years, humans have lived in tribes, villages, and neighborhoods. It's in our blood. But where is our community today? On Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter? Today, we may have thousands of friends and followers, but when we truly need someone, do we have anyone we can really open our hearts to? This is one of the great paradoxes of the 21st century. We are more connected than ever, yet more alone than ever. The author, Yuval Noah Harari, urges us to step out of this digital illusion. He reminds us that there is a world of difference between an online network and a real community. A community is not just a group of people. It's the relationships, the sense of responsibility toward each other, and most importantly, physical presence. Think about it. There's a difference between commenting "Happy Birthday" on a friend's photo and going to their house to give them a hug. When someone in your neighborhood is in trouble, you show up at their door and hold their hand. This physical touch, this face-to-face conversation, no technology, no emoji can replace that. One of the very fundamental aspects of being human is connected to our body. We are not just a mind, we are also a body, and our relationships are also physical. But today, we are forgetting our body. We stare at a screen for hours, type with our fingers, and think that we are being social, but in reality, we are isolating ourselves even more. This is exactly the business model of Facebook and other social media platforms, to keep us glued to our screens as long as possible. They show us algorithms that stir our emotions, make us angry, make us excited, so that we keep scrolling, liking, and sharing. This doesn't just affect loneliness, it has another dangerous consequence: the breakdown of society. Just look at your own phone. Does your social media feed expose you to new ideas, or just show you what you already believe? The algorithm traps us in an echo chamber. If you like a particular political party, you'll only see praise for it. If you hate something, you'll be shown content that amplifies that hatred. Slowly, we start to feel that the entire world thinks exactly the way we do, and those who think differently from us are either fools or traitors. This increases the US versus them feeling tremendously. We start seeing the people in our own country, the people around us, as enemies. We forget that in the real world, we have to live with these same people, build schools for our children together, and take our country forward with them. Social media gives us a false sense of community, and in return, takes away our real community. So what's the solution? Should we give up social media entirely? Perhaps giving it up completely is not possible in today's world, but the author suggests that we need to become more aware. They say we must create a balance between our online and offline worlds. We need to invest our time and energy in real, physical relationships. Meet your friends, spend time with your family, talk to the people around you, join a club or group where you meet like-minded people. We have to make technology our servant, not become its servant. We must understand that the happiness of a single like is fleeting, but the companionship of a friend lasts a lifetime. We need a digital detox so that we can reconnect with our physical world. But this struggle can't be won only at an individual level. This polarization, this us versus them struggle, is leading us toward a very common danger. A world where everyone has their own separate truth. But when everyone's truth is different, what is the real truth? Has truth itself died? We'll explore the answer to this dangerous question in the next chapter. Chapter 4. Post-truth. When the difference between lies and truth gets blurred, that's what we call post-truth. You've probably heard this term many times in the past few years, but what does it really mean? Does it mean that people are lying more than before? No, humans have always lied. Post-truth is a much deeper and more dangerous condition. It's a world where the importance of objective facts is overshadowed by emotional appeal and personal beliefs. In simpler terms, what actually is true becomes less important than how we feel or which story we want to believe. We live in an era where if a piece of news matches our thinking, we accept it as true, even if it is a blatant lie. And if a fact challenges our beliefs, we dismiss it as fake news or propaganda. Today, we are all living in our own bubbles of truth, and no one has the courage to burst them. The author, Yuval Noah Harari, offers us a startling perspective on how we have come to live in a post-truth world. The fact is that the most fundamental human strength is to believe in fiction, in stories. Religion, nations, money, human rights. These are all stories we have collectively agreed to treat as truth. Does God have any physical existence? Did something called India or America come down from the sky? Does a paper note have any inherent value on its own? Number. These are all stories that billions of people believe in, and it's this shared belief that makes our society function. So if we've always lived in stories, what's new today? What's new is the technology and speed of spreading these fictions. In the past, a rumor might have taken months or years to spread. Today, a false piece of news can reach millions of people in minutes through WhatsApp or Facebook. In the past, people believed the stories of their village or town. Today, we are bombarded 24/7 by rumors and narratives from around the world, most of which are crafted with some agenda. This situation is extremely dangerous. When we stop distinguishing between truth and lies, how can we make the right decisions? A democracy can function properly only if its citizens vote based on informed facts. But when citizens start voting based on emotions and false news, what will happen to democracy? When we don't even know whether climate change is real or whether getting a vaccine is beneficial or harmful, how can we make the right policies for ourselves and our children? We humans have a weakness. We believe more readily in stories that please us rather than in facts that are bitter. We like simple stories with a hero, a villain, and an easy solution, whereas the real world is very complex. In reality, no one is entirely right or entirely wrong. But understanding this complexity takes effort and thought, and in today's fast-paced world, few people have the time or patience for that. So how do we escape this post-truth trap? Harari offers two very practical pieces of advice. First, if a piece of news makes you very emotional, whether it's anger, fear, or even extreme happiness, pause for a moment before believing it. Often such news is crafted to manipulate you. Second, check your sources. If you receive some information, try to find out where it came from before you forward it blindly. Is it from a reliable news organization or just some unknown WhatsApp group? And most importantly, try to understand your own biases. We all have biases and things we want to believe. If we stay aware of them, we are less likely to be deceived. The struggle for truth is not something anyone else can fight for us. We have to fight it in our own minds. We have to be ready to pay the price for truth. Sometimes hearing the truth is hard, but the cost of living in a comfortable lie is much greater. So if our jobs are at risk, our communities are fragmenting, and our trust in truth is fading, what does it all mean? Where do we find the meaning of our lives? With this most fundamental and essential question, we enter the final chapter of our journey. Chapter 5. What is the meaning of life? Perhaps this is humanity's oldest and most fundamental question. What is the meaning of my life? Why am I here? For centuries, we found answers to this question in simple stories. Religion told us that the purpose of life was to serve God and attain salvation. Nationalism taught us that the meaning of life was to live and die for our country. Communism said that the goal of life was to work for the revolution of the proletariat. These stories gave billions of people a sense of purpose and held them together in difficult times. But as we saw in the first chapter, all these old stories are losing their power today. Science has questioned the need for God. Globalization has blurred national borders. Capitalism has turned us into consumers, whose only purpose is to buy the next new thing. So where do we find the meaning of our lives now? When the heavens are empty and the old stories feel false, where should humans turn? Yuval Noah Harari tells us that maybe we are looking for meaning in the wrong place. Maybe there is no ready-made, universal meaning of life. Maybe life is like a blank canvas, and we have to fill in the meaning ourselves. This idea is both frightening and liberating at the same time. It's frightening because it puts all the responsibility on our shoulders. We can no longer hide behind a god or a nation. We have to create our own meaning. It's liberating because it gives us the complete freedom to write our own story. We don't have to follow a path laid down by someone else. We can make our own path. But how do we create this path when there is so much noise around us, when technology distracts us, and when politics divides us? How do we listen to our own inner voice? According to Harari, the answer lies in knowing yourself. Know thyself. This is nothing new. Philosophers have been saying it for thousands of years. But in today's world, it's more important than ever. What does it mean to know yourself? Does it mean knowing your likes and dislikes, or creating a Facebook profile? Number. Harari says that we often see ourselves as a story. I am an Indian. I am an engineer. I am a good person. We build our identity from memories of the past and plans for the future. But this identity or story is not the real you. The real you is the consciousness that is constantly changing, the awareness that is watching this story. To know yourself means to take a step back from the story and observe what is happening in your mind and body in each moment without judgment. Watch your thoughts come and go. Feel your emotions rise and fall. Pay attention to your breath. This is what we call meditation or mindfulness. It's not about religion or any sect. It's a scientific way of understanding your mind. When you start observing your mind, you realize that most of your suffering and troubles are created by your mind itself. You realize that you are not a slave to your thoughts. You can watch them and let them go. This is not easy. It takes time and effort. But this journey can lead you to real freedom and real meaning. When you stop relying on big external stories and start finding truth within yourself, you can create your own purpose in life. Meaning is not a treasure buried somewhere outside. Meaning is something you create yourself. With every moment, with every breath, it's about accepting that life will bring pain and difficulties, but how we deal with them is in our hands. It's about finding joy in small moments, being compassionate, and continuously learning. The challenges of the 21st century are vast, and we have no easy answers. But if there is one thing we can do, it is to understand ourselves better. Because if we don't know who we are, how will we decide what we want to become in the future? So, after learning all these lessons, what should we do next? There is no single answer, but there is a path. And on that path, we will talk about our final conclusion. Conclusion: what comes next? So, friends, we have reached the end of this audiobook summary. We have taken a long and perhaps somewhat challenging journey. We have seen how the reliable narratives of the 20th century are falling apart and are bringing us face to face with an uncertain future. We have understood the threats that artificial intelligence poses to our jobs and economic relevance. We have felt how social media, in the name of connecting us, is actually making us more isolated and divided. We have peered into the dangerous world of post-truth, where the line between truth and lies is blurring. And finally, we have searched for the ultimate question of life's meaning. After listening to all of this, you might be feeling a bit anxious or disheartened, and that's natural. Yuval Noah Harari's aim is not to frighten us, but to awaken us. He is alerting us to the challenges that we cannot turn away from. So what's the essence of all this? What is the most important lesson of these 21 lessons? In my view, the most important lesson is that clarity is power. In a world changing this rapidly, the most crucial thing is to see clearly what is happening. Those who can see through the fog of the future, who can understand the impact of technology, and who can distinguish between truth and falsehood, will be the ones who succeed and make the right decisions in the times to come. This book doesn't give us ready-made answers because there aren't any ready-made answers. Instead, it teaches us how to ask the right questions. It forces us to think. And in this era, when everyone is telling us what to think, learning how to think is a very significant power. The final message of the book is not one of despair, but of responsibility. The future is not a script written in stone. It is something we shape through our decisions and actions today. We cannot just sit back and watch where technology and politics take our world. We must engage in this debate. We must learn, we must question, and we must stand up for our values. And all of this begins with understanding ourselves. If we do not understand ourselves, if we do not understand how our own minds work, then companies and governments that understand us better will end up pulling our strings. Thank you so much for staying with us on this journey. I hope that this deep and thought-provoking exploration of 21 lessons for the 21st century has sparked some new thoughts and important questions in your mind. If you learned something new from this audiobook summary, be sure to like this video. What questions came to your mind? What do you think about the future? Which challenge made you think the most? Let us know in the comments below. I'd be very happy to hear your thoughts. And yes, if you want to continue joining us on such enlightening journeys that make you think and give you a new perspective on life, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so you never miss any of our videos. Remember, learning is an endless journey, and we are your companions on this path. See you in the next audiobook summary. Until then, keep thinking and keep learning. Thank you.